I should be.
It never stops, John. It never stops.
The universe is vast, John. Yeah.
Probably could have sat down with Carl Sagan and said, "Well, Carl, are you as knowledgeable as you should be?" And he'd probably just say, "The more we learn, the more questions there are." So
Right.
it never stops. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's not a process of. Science is not a process. There's no end point. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
There's no end point. Somebody is going to make an observation or a discovery that is going to break through and blow apart all the theories and stuff one by one. And then they have to go back to the drawing board, and they get hopefully a little closer, but they'll never, I don't think they'll ever have,
a unifying theory.
the ultimate answer, but that's what they're searching for, so.
Yeah. And that's why, how I met Ross, just sort of trying to associate with folks that know more than me. That's why I joined ASKC. So, it's always a great opportunity to learn. So.
Well, there's one thing is there's a lot of knowledge out there, John, and I think what Scott has done here and having you join, a big part of this is just exchanging that and sharing that information, and that brings a whole new level of inclusiveness and excitement and enjoyment, bringing everyone to the party, because at all different levels, right? I mean, everyone has something to contribute, and all you need is that passion and that enthusiasm, and if you can connect all the dots, I mean, we're all in the same human condition, right? We're even though there might be some people who are PhDs and other people who are just in 12-year-olds like Libby, right? I mean, you have the full spectrum, and we're all in this journey together.
Yeah, and it's fun, and as long as I'm having fun,
that's
what it's about.
A bad thing.
You got it. Awesome. Yeah.
Yes, I knew you were going to be a great interview, John.
Let's hope that I'm not too bad anyway.
Well, I have no doubt.
We're about to throw you to the wolves.
Something that I wrote down that I'm going to make a comment on.
Okay.
No, it's all going to be good. You're going to love it. So,
well, if at the end of the day, what you're looking for is somebody that is excited about it and is having a good time with it, and looking forward to what is yet to come, then I guess that makes me the guy.
Cool.
You're our man.
Perfect.
Awesome. Very good.
Perfect.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Oh, James. Hey, James.
Hi there. How you doing, Ross?
Here. Thanks for making it.
You can hear me today?
We can hear you great. Yes. And I see the telescope back there. Beautiful.
Excellent.
All right.
Let me know if the glare off the window is not so good.
Oh, hey. You're here. That's all that matters.
Oh.
Hi, James. Nice to meet you.
The way you and I might take a selfie is by holding a camera out with our arm and taking a single image. the way the rover takes a selfie is a little more complex than that. The way the rover takes a selfie is by using the Watson camera at the end of the robotic arm. But the Watson camera was designed to take close-up images of rocks for scientific analysis. And even with the arm fully extended, we can't cover the entire rover in a single image. To capture the entire rover, we take multiple images and then stitch them together.
So
In order to do that, we
international
try to
audience
hold
here.
the
It's
Watson
great.
camera sensor in the same position to take the different images. In order to keep the camera at the same position and take the different image frames, the arm may actually have to move quite a lot. It can take up to an hour of arm motion and imaging to take that entire selfie. The reason you don't see the robotic arm in the selfie is because it's moving between the different image frames that we are taking. And we include enough overlap between the images so that when we stitch them together, we don't have to include the arm. Another exciting first on the Perseverance mission is the inclusion of microphones. For the very first time, we were able to record sounds of the arm moving as it was taking the selfie. You can distinctly hear the sounds of the brakes on the arm actuators clicking open and closed. And at times, as the motors are changing speed, it almost sounds musical, like a flute. When a person takes a selfie, we just hold our arm up and take a single image. To create the first Perseverance selfie, it took an entire team of people working together for almost an entire week. In the end, it took 62 images stitched together to create the resulting selfie.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and this is our Friday program, Focus on Astrophotography. We have some special guests here today. I'm going to let Ross Ferguson introduce them. But today we've got Andy Scarborough from the Explore Alliance with us, Member Services, John Boren, James Gossage. John is outside of Kansas City. And James is coming all the way from New Zealand. So, it's cool to have astronomers from around the world. And indeed, we have some people from around the world in our audience, all the way to the Philippines. So it makes a lot of fun when we have international gatherings like this online to share the knowledge and passion of astronomy, and on this show, astrophotography. I thought that before we get started, we would do a little shout out. Annie, you're muted.
No, I'm muted because I'm told to always mute when I'm in customer service because, a lot of things happen here.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to give a big, huge shout out to one of our probably top fans for Explore Scientific. They do not own one single piece of our equipment, but they love us so much. And
Maybe not.
You don't think they love us so much?
No, they may not own one single piece, but I really don't think so.
I don't know. We don't think so. Anyways, but we had something happen on Facebook yesterday, and we were just a little bit I don't know what the word is. Enamored, amazed. Happy. Just,
Very nice. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So let me introduce this person to us. And so this is Pekka Hautala. And so we are just amazed at him sporting his gear on Facebook. And we
all right, Pekka.
He looks cool.
We just thought
he looks like a man on a mission. He really
We
does.
want you on the show, Pekka. We want you on the show.
Yeah, we thought we'd give him a shout out and tell him thank you for all the support and love that you give to us, and we are very honored to have you a part of us. And so I think Scott has something for you that's supposed to go that way.
Oh, yes. So I've been signing the member certificates and stuff for the Explorer Alliance, and this just happens to be Pekka's. So Pekka, you'll be getting this. We'll be shipping it all the way to Stockholm, Sweden. So thank you for participating in our programs and everything, and giving all the passion and drive that you have, and for keeping Sweden's skies dark. You've been doing a great job. So, okay.
Yeah,
So I'm going
Pekka,
to turn it back over to you guys. Danny, thank you very much. And Ross, you want to introduce our special guest?
I would love to. I would love to. Thank you, Scott. And yeah, definitely thank you, Pekka. This is definitely an international hobby, and you're going to find people all over the world that love to do it. And yesterday I got another just brilliant thought from my man Kent. And I went to Kent. I had some issue, and I said, it sounds kind of, and he goes, funky, funkadelic. And so immediately I said Parliament Funkadelic. And
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, well.
But what's so strange is I just watched a Parliament video yesterday.
Well, it's a lot of fun, and we want to board the mothership. And so, come on up, guys. Welcome to the mothership of astrophotography. This is Focus on Astrophotography, and we are really happy to have two awesome guests that we get to share with you guys today. Both these guys are incredible. And so I'll start with the one who has come the farthest. We've got James Gossage here from New Zealand. And I could probably tell you a lot about James. I think he's probably been, more places than everybody on the screen here put together. And now he has found his way to Kiri, somewhere way up in the northern part of New Zealand. How are you, James? Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ross. Thanks so much for inviting me on. It's great to be here.
Well, James.
Yeah, so I live in the far north of New Zealand in a place called Kiri, and it's in a Bay of Islands, and a very exotic place. And we've got about 160 islands just off the coast behind me through the window that you probably can't see because I've sort of shut the drapes. But yeah,
it sounds quite spectacular, and the photos that of yours that I'm getting ready to share, James, are quite spectacular as well. And our second guest is another just incredible dude. He maybe hasn't been everywhere, but I think he can pretty much do anything that he wants to. And that's John Boren from just around Kansas City. But he's been in our backyard for a little while. And I don't know, it sounds like, John, every group you become a part of, they put you on the board.
I've been on a couple. Yeah, it's okay. I figure if I'm going to be a part of something, I might as well do what I can to give back as much as I can. So.
Well, that's awesome. We do know, and I could share a lot of things about how you do give back, but this really is about Focus on Astrophotography, and we've got two great guys here, and our show today is on DSLR. Because we are just getting started with this show, and really a lot of people are just getting started with astrophotography, and the easiest way to go about that is with one of these. And so the two guys we have here today are some of the best that I've ever seen. And we were doing shout outs. And so I've got one shout out here for John. He just became of the Astronomical Society of Kansas City. So askc.org. You guys go check that out if you're in the Kansas City area. They've got great star parties. That one was just unfortunately canceled tonight. But we love giving shout outs to our partners in the Astronomical Society. So great work with them. And then the Astrobin shout out to James over here. If you guys want to find him, he's Kiwi Astro. That's how I found him. And that's probably how I really ended up here. So we're talking about our leaps and our starts and our first steps into astrophotography. And James really was mine. I was looking around and trying to find what scope I wanted. And some of you all might be feeling the same way. And I went to astrobin.com and saw James's photos. And I thought, man, he is doing some work with a 4-inch telescope. And so I realized, hey, the telescope he has, well, the world headquarters are 15 minutes from my house. and that was a coincidence. And I ended up here getting my first scope about 3 years ago. And now we got a show, and now James and John are here. So I'm going to share some of their images for you guys, because I know that's why y'all are here. You're not really wanting to hear me talk that much. So I'm going to try, and we'll start. John, I think we're going to start. I can get it here. I think we're going to start with your photos here, John. Now, you really did get started with a DSLR. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've just recently got a scope. I got an 8102, the FCD 100 version of it. If that make it, I'm guessing some of you know
that's what it is. That's what I have. So
We
Nice.
I got that. I just got my a couple of weeks ago now, got my cooled camera, but have not had a chance to use any of it yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it all work. So I've got a friend in town that's going to help me do that. But so yeah, everything that I've done so far has just been with my DSLR and a zoom lens for anything that was any attempt at a DSO. And
now this is
just
you right here on the
wide
screen,
angle.
correct? This is your photo.
That are you?
no, we see,
looking
we
at the Wall
just see
Street?
thumbnails right now.
Oh,
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
You can't see. Let's try again. That working?
That
There
works.
we go.
That's better.
Yeah, that one.
Is that your picture, John?
That is.
Right
Yeah,
on.
that-
Well,
I've.
yeah, go ahead. Tell us about that picture.
That is in Bryce Canyon, Utah.
Wow.
We've been in Bryce once before, and went there specifically because it was a dark sky site, but I didn't have the right camera for it. And so then after I got the better camera, we actually went back in August of last year, scheduled it around a new moon so that so I would have a lot less, moon problem, and went down into the hoodoos. If anybody's been in Bryce, they know about hoodoos, but went down into the canyon a little bit and was able to get that.
Beautiful
And that
shot.
is
It's an
that is
incredible
just a
shot.
single 25-second image. So
That's a single image.
Fantastic.
No stacking.
nope.
Zoom
Wow.
in and see how
It
your
is
Amazing what you can do in a dark sky, eh?
It is super dark.
That is
You know,
Well, and your
the
corners-
Astronomical League had a conference there at Bryce Canyon, and I was with Dr. Tim Hunter, who is, he was one of the co-founders of the International Dark Sky Association. And he said, Scott, do you see it? And I go, what? And he says, the shadow from the Milky Way. And I said, what? And he takes a piece of paper and he just puts it over the ground, and we could actually see the shadow from the paper, making the ground darker. So it was really spectacular. We've talked about this kind of thing before, but Bryce is just spectacular. So
It is. It's
sky's
amazing.
so transparent. It's so dark, and
Well,
and
that's
it's just
a
magic.
really important aspect of the Milky Way photos, Scott. Is it really does help to get a dark sight, and since you're not hauling around a huge telescope, you really can go quite go quite a ways out there and get a good shot. This is a fairly recent one from you, isn't it, John?
Yeah, that is from just a few weeks ago. This is at Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado. We had gone to Breckenridge for a week, and I left my wife in Breck one night and drove the 3 hours down to go out on the dunes. And then this is just from just before dawn, sort of getting into that blue hour where I could get a little bit of the foreground showing up a little bit. I couldn't really light paint it very well. So
Was there
I
any
just ended
stacking
up
on this
spending the
one,
night
John?
on the dunes just to try to take pictures. And this was just one of them.
That's pretty beautiful.
Did you stack that one at all, or is that a single shot as well?
That is, it's a blended shot. It's a single image sky and a single image foreground,
Okay.
but they were not at the same time.
Well, yeah, it's great work. And so now you've got a real dedicated telescope, and I think, let me see, here we go. This is you right here. This is your
That's
most
me.
Orion Nebula.
That's Orion Nebula out of my backyard, and that is just with my zoom lens off my camera.
So
This
what
is
focal length were you
Beautiful.
shooting at on that one?
600.
600.
Yep, I have a 150 to 600 zoom, and that's the same on that one there.
Oh, these weren't with your 4-inch. These weren't with the 102.
No, I haven't ever had.
Amazing.
I haven't had it long enough to, because I like you were talking about before. It's hard to get a telescope right now,
Right.
and
Sure.
I've been sort of in the queue, and then finally found this one, so I snatched it up, but I haven't taken any pictures with it yet. This is all just with DSLR and zoom lenses.
Okay.
That is awesome. And
Well,
look, you even got some of the
they're
other
great,
galaxies in
and-
the surrounding area.
Wow,
I mean, it
look
shows
at
you-
that one.
Now, that's
Necessity
not
is a
me.
mother. Yeah, necessity is a mother.
Well, yeah,
of
let's
innovation.
show you, John, what you're going to get here. You know, after a year or two of work, and now James is at a Portal 2 site, so I don't know if we can compete with that. But
Yep.
James, this is the
Yep.
tarantula.
Waiting for it to come up.
Yeah, this is Southern Hemisphere stuff.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see it
Nice.
here, but
Can you see?
Yeah,
You
that-
can see that image, James.
I'm still seeing John's previous image.
Okay.
There's some
Oh, it's
delays.
because you're watching the
we'll just talk
replay,
about it for
James. You're watching the replay on social media. Look at Zoom.
I'm on Zoom.
Oh, okay. You should be seeing Ross share his screen.
Okay. Oh, no, here it comes up now. Yeah, that's it. That's
There
the
you
one.
go.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
this
that's
is James's tarantula. Tell us about that.
yeah. So
Awesome.
basically, that is in the what we call the Large Magellanic Cloud, which is a massive cloud, dust. Well, a bunch of galaxies and dust clouds that you can see with your naked eye, just south of our place, and it's very bright and quite big around the Sigma Octans, which is the South Celestial Pole. And so basically, I shot this using the ED 102 FCD 100, which I bought from you folks a couple of years ago. And it was about 2 hours, or 1 hour, sorry, 1 hour of imaging, and then stacked, processed.
That's
And I
awesome.
also
An hour.
I used
Wow.
the UHC filter on the camera, using a color camera on this scope.
So
Yeah,
just
so
it's just
I
a
think
single.
it's
You just had a single shot, right? Just stacking
That's
single
correct.
frame. Wow,
Yeah, I just stacked up. I can't remember how many frames it was for the 1 hour, but
nice.
probably 60 frames at 60 seconds or something.
And this was with the 102. What was the what's the field of view on that tarantula nebula shot?
I have no idea. I'm not sure. I'm really novice to this.
No problem. No, this is what's amazing, because just a comment. I mean, you with today's technology and the capabilities, now that you can do all this stuff, we're all learning at different pieces of the journey, right? We're jumping on board, and the capabilities that you're showing. I mean, these are fantastic shots. And then as you start to go on this journey, you kind of put together all the full picture as you learn more and more, and
Yes.
about all the techniques and of course all the different objects. But this is great to be able to show this. That's fantastic. Nice, James.
Thank you.
James,
so
now
this-
you told me you'd been imaging since 2018. Is that correct?
So I got my very first DSLR at the end of 2018, never had one. And so I had to learn about ISO, f-stop, all that good stuff. And at the time, I was basically just shooting the Milky Way. I thought I'd get into Milky Way. So I got a 14 mil lens and began to shoot without any tracking anything.
Wow.
And then the beginning of 2019, I got a tracker. So that image, the raw future cloud, which you have there,
Mhm.
was shot with a DSLR and a 200 mil lens at
Wow.
f2.8. And the bright star, orange star is Antares, which we all know. And the cluster, globular cluster at the top is the M4 globular cluster. So I had a tracker at that time, obviously. And I believe this one was shot for 30 minutes at f2.8. So 20 times 90 seconds exposures, stacked, processed, all that good stuff.
So this is really
Yes,
neat. I mean,
so that's-
this is close to the row
That was
of
kind of my
Fucus, right?
commencement. There are no astronomy clubs or anything here in the far north. The closest one is at 4 hours away in Auckland. So basically, and there's no one to consult with. So I learned as much as I could
You're out there on your own.
Mhm.
Yeah, all on my own,
Oh, wow.
including
You're doing a really good
script,
job.
configuration, everything, all on my own. Because there's no one around here. I've got a lot of cattle in the
Your,
background.
DSLR shot of the Milky Way.
Yes.
And we're just really happy that our audience can see what really is possible.
It's so dramatic. I mean, that
Yes.
shot right there, just you can
Well,
just see the Milky Way just kind of exploding across, you know, and then you can see it looks like you can see the Large Magellanic Cloud or M1. No, that's Large Magellanic Cloud
Is that
down
the
there.
smaller or the
I
large
think.
one?
Yeah, it's the LMC. That is correct, Scott.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You know,
it's
when I
interesting-
saw it for the first time, I was shocked, utterly shocked at how big it is in the sky. You know,
Huge.
in that shot, it kind of looks like this little thing up there. But when you see it for real, I mean, with the unaided eye, it's giant, and I did not expect that. You know, so
James
Uh,
has a good
Here's
shot
the other side.
of it here. If we can find it.
Yeah, we just out the other night, and it was crystal clear, just night before last, and just above my head. It just, you could see it. It's so bright here because we're in the dark side. So
That was a super wide field view too. I mean, like you said, Scott. I mean, if that's the LMC and it looks so small in that picture, you can imagine how wide an angle that lens. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's and for us that, you know, our northern hemisphere astronomers to go down to the southern hemisphere, it's such a wonderland because the whole sky is almost the complete sky is unfamiliar, you know, and
Yes.
and that is such a treat because you feel like you're getting to start astronomy all over again. You know, you're learning the sky all over again, and you know, as you kind of struggle to get your bearings, you know. So I can imagine for people that have done all their astronomy in the southern hemisphere to come to the northern hemisphere, it's got to be a similar type of thing. But
would be.
a big difference is not as much Milky Way. The southern hemisphere observers have really the best Milky Way of all.
Yeah.
I look forward to having
That's
that
why we're so
experience.
happy to
It's gonna be.
share your pictures, James.
You're welcome. Thank you for
And this is the Angel Nebula, is that correct, James?
That is correct. And that was shot with 3 hours, basically. So you'll see a lot of the dust behind the Angel.
I love the dark nebula you got in there. Those are my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I think that was probably a year
It's
ago.
really good. And yeah, guys, so we're really happy we got to share your pictures. You know, two awesome guys, James and John, on separate parts of the world, but both using the same scopes and both getting great shots of that Milky Way. And they both started with the DSLR too. So you know, these could be your photos in a couple years as well, guys. So, you know, just get that ball rolling. And James, John, thanks so much for coming in. You know, real quick before the show, you were like, you like to be in groups where people know more than you. And one of my really good buddies, he always told me, you know, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And, you know, that's why I'm glad I'm here, you know, so I certainly know that that's not the case for me right now. And I'm in the right place, and I'm glad everybody else is too. So thanks for coming on, guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ross.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll
Thanks.
sign off.
Take
Cheers,
care,
then.
James.
All
Yep.
right, bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks a
Bye-bye.
lot.
Yeah, that was really awesome. And that, I mean, photos like that, guys, that's really why I got started. I don't know, Cameron, why you got started, but I mean, it's seeing those incredible photos.
Oh yeah. Well, when I was a teenager, when I first got started, it was the school library, right? Go to the astronomy section and look at the pictures that were done by the ground Hubble 200-inch Hale scope.
Palomar.
And Palomar, yeah.
Yes.
We're looking at those pictures of either Andromeda or the mosaics and all the different objects, including planets, of course, and would thumb through those, and then it was like, I want to have a scope of my own so I can see that myself, and then that's how it started. I saw Saturn when I was 14 years old, and at 4 a.m. in the morning, which is beautiful, steady skies, with my 4-inch reflector, Newtonian reflector, f5, and Altaz, no mount, no nothing, just basic, $200 Canadian, and that was it. I mean, I just went from there, and of course Orion Nebula and all that followed shortly behind.
Yeah.
And it was so nice and humbling to be able to see what you can see with your eye, and then also photography, kind of connect the dots and at least see some details with your own eye.
I feel the same way.
And then now, kind of coming full circle now with today's technology. I mean, there was that whole era, Scott remembers very well, where you had hypersensitized, ISO 6400 film and all that kind of stuff, and dark rooms, and oh my gosh, I mean, I actually skipped that, even though I was living in that time. I just didn't get into that. It's a huge, but there's so much you learn from that experience. But now you can do it with these new astronomy cameras and DSLRs that are, they have the new Canon.
It's so much easier.
It's so much easier. Yeah, smartphones.
It is.
Yeah, I have an interesting story though. Back in 2005. Now this is still during the time when a lot of people are still shooting on film. And there was a beginner. His name was Wolfgang Klär, out of Germany, and he had purchased. I was working for Mead Instruments at the time, and he purchased an ETX 125, fully expecting that when he looked in the eyepiece and saw the stars, that they would match up to astrophotographs that he saw in the in a catalog of
why wouldn't they?
Yeah, right. So he was expecting to see colors and incredible nebulosity details and, caverns of galaxies and stuff like that. And so he's pretty disappointed. He felt like, gosh, I spent $1,000. It should have been like Technicolor, right? Mm-hmm. And so he goes back to the shop where he bought it, and he explains his situation. They said, oh, well, the only way you can get that is through astrophotography. And he said, well, sign me up, So he gets into, like, as I recall, it was either a 6-inch or an 8-inch. And I think it was one of Mead Schmidt Newtonian telescopes. And he gets the camera adapter and all the rest of it. And, Germany has a lot of clouds, right? And so there's really not so many clear nights. So he gets out with his rig and takes a photograph. He aims it at the Whirlpool galaxy, and he gets a shot. Then it clouds over. Okay, a few days goes by, and it clears up just enough for him to get another shot. When he takes a second shot, he makes a discovery of a supernova. Okay, now this guy, rank beginner.
Yeah.
Starting into the hobby for a few weeks. Okay, and so if you guys look up SN 2005 CS, you'll see that the discovery there. They don't on Wikipedia. They don't give you the backstory of this discovery, but that's how it went down. And so this guy goes from gosh, I would really like to try this astronomy thing, to be actually becoming world recognized. Okay, for making this supernova discovery. So very
that's
cool.
Awesome.
Very
that
cool.
Is really cool. That is really cool.
And I think it was shot on film. It could have been done digitally, but I think it is. And there's the Discovery photograph is actually on Wikipedia. And so it was fun to be in customer service for Mead Instruments at the time, and hearing about all this cool stuff, from this beginning amateur astronomer.
Well, and
You
yeah,
know,
that's
yeah.
totally the reason why you should start it, because there is still stuff to be discovered.
All the time. All the
yeah,
time.
that might blow you away, but there's a guy, Marcel Dreschler, and he's another German. I don't know why they keep being the ones that seem to discover all this stuff recently, but he's discovered like 3 nebulas this year alone.
Wow.
He's 40 discoveries under his belt.
Diligent.
Oh, it is, it's happening. People like you and me, and somebody that just buys a telescope and turns it on the first night are discovering things. And so get out there with us, share your photos, and we want to see them. And so we're going to go to our next segment of the day, though, on Focus on Astrophotography. And so we are going to do more shout outs because today my great partner here is unable to be here, Chuck, and we're going to have to do a lot of shout outs and just try to make a lot of people happy. So we're going stars of Astro Ben. Okay, guys, everybody, if you want to go on there and look and see some more really awesome photos. And I know you guys were asking about planetary. And so I was doing some hunting, and I know some really awesome planetary astrophotographers. And I also wanted to emphasize, if anybody was wondering, this is Explore Scientific show, and I love Explore Scientific telescopes, but you can have any telescope, and I want to show you pictures.
That's right.
Telescope,
and there's a
great.
lot, we'll stand behind our product, but there are so many great optics out there, so many great brands. So whatever your journey was, and figuring out
we just want you here,
the gear that you
having fun with
explore the sky with. That's great, and we support that.
Yeah, so we just want you here with us, having fun, showing your pictures, and seeing the ones we show you. So if you guys want to know about planetary imaging, the moon imaging, I'm about to show you the best guy from Okinawa, Japan. His name's Robert, and he can probably give you a lesson in philosophy as well, but you can also just enjoy some of the best moon photos, Jupiter photos, Saturn photos you have ever seen. AS Tropical from Okinawa, Japan, one of the coolest guys. I got to give a great shout out to him. And like I said, we will feature anybody, even if they have a Celestron, just like his Tropical does, and other incredible. I mean, this guy's Jupiter photos are unbelievable. Dimach in Singapore. I really wanted to feature somebody from a big city with a lot of light pollution today, because a lot of people just think, I can't do it. I can't look at the stars. I can't take pictures of the stars. I live in the big city. And that's just not true. We have technologies past that. We are far past that. You can get incredible photos from the middle of any city on Earth. And if you don't believe me, go look at this guy's photos. Dimach in Singapore. And lastly, the third person we are going to feature today, we are staying on the East. This guy is awesome. And I'm not great at pronunciation, and you guys will learn that as our shows progress. So I'm going to actually have to ask Scott for a little help.
Okay.
But we've got an awesome guy here. His name is Wild Duck, and his pictures are absolutely wild because he is taking them from the
Lijian Gemini.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
from
I
the Gemini. Oh, from Lijian. Okay, that is a city.
Oh, Lijiang, yeah.
I think so, but it could be his name.
Yunnan.
He's
In Yunnan.
he is
Yeah.
using,
So Lijian is
he's controlling these awesome telescopes.
Beautiful city in Yunnan province. Okay, so that's not his name.
No, his name is Wild Duck.
Oh, that's him, Wild Duck. Okay. Yeah.
I've actually been there. I've actually been to Lijiang.
You've been to Lijiang. Oh, okay, so you know how beautiful it is. I have not.
They're rebuilding it. Actually, they've rebuilt it, and it's a historical old city with a little river going through it. It's close to the bend in the Great Yangtze River. There's a bend that goes through the Himalayas, and it's just on the other side of that mountain range.
Here, I'll
And,
share my
just
screen so people can see what the city
beautiful,
looks
beautiful.
like.
If you ever get a chance,
All right.
Check that out.
yeah, this is exactly. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they shoot, they shoot a lot of historical Chinese movies here. Apparently there's a lot of expatriates, Americans live there. People from around the world move there. It is beautiful. The air's clean. So if you want to experience what China was, okay, this is a great place to go.
Yeah, you go to.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Kunming is the closest big city. Kunming.
Yeah, I've been to Kunming many times.
And then there's what's it called? Dali. Dali is.
Dali, I've been there too.
Yeah.
So you've been to all those cities?
Yeah,
Cameron?
yeah. We took a risky bus trip tour.
Oh yeah.
That was fun with a whole bunch of Chinese tourists. So it was really.
You say risky?
So-
You're not kidding. Okay.
So it has an observatory in it at that city that y'all were talking about? That one?
Yeah, the Yunnan Observatory is I think nearby. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kunming is the historical center for optical polishing in China. And so back, I think maybe even back to the 30s or even before that, there was a gentleman who used to work for, I think he worked for Carl Zeiss, and he made binoculars, and he decided to come back home to his home, his home place in China. They chose Kunming because it's the city of eternal spring, and so the weather is like optimum for polishing glass. It never gets too hot, it never gets too cold. The humidity range stays pretty stable. It's perfect. Okay, and so if you're gonna have a city where you're not having to install air conditioning and special humidifiers and stuff like that, where you're, for making production level of optics, this is a great place to do it. And it is in fact where Explore Scientific's factory is. So, is in Kunming. So I'll be going back there. I think sometime later this year. So, but
I promise to the audience
Very
that's
cool.
just coincidence. An awesome one.
when I go back, I'll take. I will definitely take video of the new factory and all of that stuff. So I'm real excited to see it.
You did that video earlier. I think it was a couple of years ago, Scott, with the that radio telescope that's close by, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and
yeah.
that's also down in you're talking about the FAST 500 meter, world's largest
Yeah, the 500 exactly.
video
Yeah,
telescope.
A lot
Yeah,
of
it
good
was a
stuff
very
there.
unusual situation to get in there. And we had to have special clearances and everything. So
Yeah, that was really neat.
yeah. In
Well, yeah,
fact,
Wild
I think
Duck,
that we
if
were
you're
the first
listening-
American and German team. We went in together. Yeah. So Wild Duck, thank you, man.
Yeah, if you're listening, we want to go to that observatory. We'd love to see it. And so those are our shout outs. We'll do 3 more next week. They can be from anywhere on Earth, and they can be from anybody with any telescope. So if you've got some suggestions, if you got some pictures, send them our way, and we'll sort through them because it's really fun. When you get to spend time looking at these beautiful pictures of the heavens, I think that's a great way to spend a few hours. And it's going to take us now to the incredible Chuck's constellation.
Crunch.
And today, since we are doing DSLR photography, there are really 3 constellations for the Milky Way and for DSLR photography. And we did the first one last week, and that was the beautiful, the Swan Cygnus. And so today we're going to move just over to the left a little bit. And if you are used to using a polar scope, one of the manual ones like me, you'll know you get your Big Dipper and you get Cassiopeia right there where it needs to be. Well, Cephas is right above Cassiopeia, and it is here, so it is spinning around Polaris. It's spinning a pretty tight loop. It's right up there in the north sky, high up in the northern hemisphere. And, we had to do this constellation today because you all got to see those incredible photos of the large Magellanic Clouds and all those beautiful things that we're not able to witness from where we're at because of James and, Kerry and his awesome place in New Zealand. So we're going to do Cephas because James can't see that. So we're going to show you some of our awesome stuff that we get to see in our sky. And some interesting facts about the constellation Cephas is that Gamma, okay, so this guy right here, Gamma, in about 1,000 years, Gamma, also known as All Ray, you'll notice that stars are pretty much either going to have a Greek name or an Arabic name, and that's because those were the ones really looking up there for the last few thousand years. But Gamma is about to be Polaris. I say about, that's in 1,000 years, but in astronomical time, that's a coin flip. And so Gamma's moving over, and if you come back here in 1,000 years, that's going to be the new North Star. And so I think that's pretty interesting just to remember that not only are the stars moving in the sky because of the Earth, but everything is also moving independently and dependently on each other too. And I think that's super fun. Cephas was a king and a dad, probably not the greatest dad, if you know the legend, but so we don't have to go too much into some mythology about Cephas, but he was husband to Cassiopeia. So that's the W. If you look up to the north in the sky, you're going to see the W. And so Cephas was married to Cassiopeia. And there are tons of awesome things in Cephas, including the Fireworks Galaxy, the Iris Nebula, the Wizard Nebula, and I've got some photos I've taken recently. Last night, we had a great clear sky. I don't know, Cameron, did you have a clear sky last night? Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Were you able to image any?
Yeah, I was able to test out my new flats.
Good.
I'm very,
Yeah,
very
you're
happy.
working on them.
Right, and Cameron's going to show us some technique for doing these calibration frames. So
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to show you guys now a few more pictures for our constellation crunch of Cephas, because really you can just about put your telescope anywhere and see something awesome. So let's get to those. Let's go. Now, I'm not sure how well you guys can see this. This is my first RGB image with a monochrome camera. Now, I only got 10 minutes in red, green, and blue, and then 2 hours in H alpha. And I put the H alpha light in as the luminance channel. So you can see some nebulosity right down here. You can see right there, that is Eta Cephei. So just a little bit off the body of the constellation. And it's an orange star. So that was kind of my goal.
Ross, I think we see this the thumbnails, but we're not seeing the full
thumbnails
screen.
again. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Cameron. Let's give it a try again. Share. And see if we can move on.
There you go. Yeah, that's the full screen.
Okay.
Awesome.
We'll find it. Yeah, okay, so you guys can
There we go.
probably still see, this is a fairly wide field view. It's at 200 millimeters with a full frame QHY 600 monochrome camera. And like I was saying, it's my first attempt to turn that monochrome into color. I am truly enamored with just a straight black and white H alpha image. I think that's kind of, well, like I think it's Astrodon in their description. They kind of call it like an Ansel Adams painting or a picture. And it's just a beautiful black and white image. But in this one, I got 10 minutes of each RGB channel and then 2 hours in the H alpha. So you can see some nebulosity. This is on the northern reaches of the clouds in Cephas. Now, but down here, what I was talking about, the Fireworks Galaxy. I'll try to zoom in here for you. You can see some stretch. I still haven't gotten the backspacing correct. The faster, you guys need to know this, the faster your telescope or camera lens, whether it's, say, if it's an f7 as compared to an f3, the precision that is required in your backspace scene, so where your sensor needs to be, is much greater. So you need to be within 0.2 millimeters of right on the focal plane as you decrease your f speed, because essentially you've got your wavelengths bending much steeper at much steeper angles, so your room for error is much less. But you can look down in here and you will see that's the firework galaxy.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good to pick that up. You know, what
Yeah,
equipment did
it's
you
fun.
use? This is a pretty wide field shot. So what was this
What's the
one taken
lens
with
on
again?
this?
That is it's the Borg 55 FL,
Okay.
and then that's the that's that
So
globular.
just a DSLR with a
Fireworks
55
Galaxy.
millimeter, right?
Yes.
That again.
Just a DSLR with a 55 millimeter lens.
It's actually the QHY 600 with a 200 millimeter lens at 55 millimeter aperture.
Yeah, Borg.
Oh,
3.6.
okay, got it. Sorry, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but this is
But
really good. You
normally
know,
what you'll see is, with a 102 millimeter and the Zoo or the ZWO 1600, you're going to get mainly what you're seeing here in your image. You're going to get the firework, and you're going to get the globular cluster there in the corner.
what mount? What mount did you use?
Say that again.
What mount did you use, Russ?
I'm using the Lowe's Mandy G811. And I love Lowe's Mandy, and I love their service. And, they're from Burbank, California, and I lived for a year in Burbank, California. So I feel quite connected with them. I'm going to go to another. Oh, that's the one we've seen. Okay. So this is just with a camera lens at 30 millimeters with a 4/3 sensor. It's the ATIC Horizon that I was using at this moment. And I took my son and my nieces to Big Bend National Park. And so we went to the most remote section of Big Bend National Park. And that night or that day, they had climbed Mary Skull Mountain. And that actually takes you to the drop off right at where the park got its name, right at the Big Bend on the Rio Grande. And it's a great dark site. And, I was happy to get my son up that mountain when he was 4 years old. So that night I took a picture. Like I said, I haven't had any experience with a camera lens or really a DSLR. So I was just practicing and just having fun. But this is a beautiful shot of them in front of the mountain with Orion right up there. I think that's 20,
Wonderful.
maybe a 10-second photo.
Wow.
But that's astrophotography too. You're creating memories. You're not just taking pictures of something far away. This I'm going to go ahead and share because I edited it for the boss, Mr. Tyler Bowman, and I wish he was on today, but this is what he got last night. You see, our shop is full of people that do what we do, love what we do, and are taking pictures just about any time we have the chance. This is M101, I believe. Fantastic galaxy.
Yep, definitely.
And so for one night of work, he did a great job. No calibration photos. And I love when you can pick up
Wow, that's great.
the arms breaking out right there.
Look at the detail when you zoom in. That's amazing. What with this the same QHY?
I'm not sure
camera?
what camera he was using, but he was using a new telescope he bought that's 130 millimeter f. I'm not sure, but it's a Newtonian. It's a fast scope, and it looks Italian when it's all up there with the black. And
Yeah.
this is I can't remember too much about this little galaxy you see here at the bottom that I zoomed in on for you guys.
Don't worry,
But,
we'll catch it in the survey.
as you can see, yeah, it's highly warped gravitationally. M101 is pulling on this small spiral galaxy down there and has actually made it quite beautiful. There are tons of little galaxies in here that I could zoom in and show you guys. And that's another incredible thing about this hobby, Cameron, is you get a picture and you start pixel peeping. You get in there and you get as deep as you can go, and you're like, whoa, that little guy. Well, look over here. This little guy down here is not a star. That is a galaxy. And they're just all over the place. And so you can find it in an image just like this. You might have 30 galaxies. And there is something about that that is just incredible.
I just love that. That gives me such a thrill. And what's really fun is when you see different types of galaxies, different orientation, different structures. Sometimes you can see they're on edge on or face on. Sometimes it's really it's wonderful. Oh, this is a good picture.
The galaxy clusters are great. Yeah, so John was on earlier, and the night that he got his photo of the Milky Way there at the Great Sand Dunes, this is my son and I. We were about 20 miles as the bird flies, but 2 hours as the car drives away from each other. My son and I, we went to Crestone Needle in Colorado, and we tried to get up to the trailhead, but my car couldn't make it. And so we had to find another mountain. And I had made it 5 years ago, but the road has gotten a little worse, and but it was an adventure nonetheless. So this is my 5-year-old boy. We were doing some terrestrial imaging, because that's another, not imaging, but just viewing, because that's another thing that these telescopes are great for. Get them out, looking at the birds, looking at the mountains, spying on your neighbors. That's at least why my son likes them. And this was not one I was going to share, but here it is. This is in Ursa Major, the Bear. These galaxies are really far away and really small, and that's with a 4-inch telescope. Here we go. Here's a DSLR photo with the 102 millimeter, and that is obviously, Cameron, what is that one?
That is the Pleiades.
Yes. That is.
Sorry, I was just on mute.
It's one of the best, for sure.
I love it. I like the delicate, the delicate reflection nebula around Merope Nebula on the top right there.
Perfect.
Just Merope Nebula, really nice, and you can see the color change as well. You have the blue, of course, by the star that's being ignited, but then you start to see it turn into kind of that dusty gray, just like that earlier picture that was shared around Antares, or around Antares, where you have, once you get away from the main igniting star, you get that kind of that darker, dusty, smoky nebulosity. Really neat.
Well, I love Pleiades. That was one of that with Orion, and then in Aldebaran and Taurus. Those were kind of like the first areas I really started pointing the scope at.
One thing from the chat, sorry, Ross, I just want to highlight it's a good piece of trivia. I really was at dusk.
You're going to take my story, Cameron.
Oh, do you want to say it? Sorry.
No, I don't know. Maybe I've got another piece of trivia.
Okay. I didn't know this. Subaru, the car manufacturer,
exactly.
that constellation. If you look careful, that is actually, it's 6 stars in the emblem that they use. But I didn't know until I joined this forum in one of the global star parties, and somebody mentioned, I forgot who it was, and maybe it was Dusky Haskins, but basically that this is a Japanese terminology for the 7 sisters, actually the 6 stars in their mythology. So that is, when you see a Subaru you're seeing the Pleiades.
Yes,
Pleiades.
sir.
Yeah, it's cool.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. That is that's the story I had as well. But I can add that I had a Subaru and I didn't know. And I don't think a lot of people know. But yeah, thank you, Cameron. I think it's great. You guys really, whether you're doing visual or astrophotography, look at Pleiades. It's actually a pretty easy photo, a place to get a photo you'll be happy with, a photo to get some good detail. It's very bright, and you know, you can see it with your eye. It's the cloud up there. At least for me, I need to wear glasses a lot of the times when I'm looking at the stars. But you know, you can see it with your eyes. This is with a Sony A7 IV, something like that. It was a buddy's camera. This was right when I was getting started with astrophotography, and so I would have friends come over and they would bring their DSLR. I'd hook it up to my camera and we'd give it a try. So that's a big full frame sensor as well on that Sony A7 AR7 IV. And you know, there was a little bit of vignetting on the 4-inch telescope, and you know, it's always different figuring out how far you need to get the camera back and to get your focus. Everything's different, but it was a ton of fun. And that's the way to do it too. You can find somebody with a DSLR or some way to start taking pictures yourself. But I think that's about all the photos that we have today. And so I'll stop the share right now. And what I wanted just to really end with was just how not how easy this is, because it's not easy. You know, you're gonna have to go out there and you're gonna have to try and you're gonna have to work at it. And the guys at the show today, they've been working at it. But you know, it's that passion, it's that want. And if you want to get a picture of the Milky Way, this is all you need. This on a tripod, and go out there and take as long of exposures as you can get. And then look at your stars in the corner, see how they are. Try to get that manual focus just a little bit better. Keep touching, because you don't need 3 hours to get a good Milky Way shot. You need good 30 seconds in a dark site. So, you know, go out somewhere, go find that spot and go spend that 30 seconds to get that one shot, and spend 5 hours to get that one good photo. And that's what it takes. And that's what it takes. But it really isn't that hard. It's just giving it a try, changing your exposures. People will ask me all the time, I don't know about you, Cameron, but with a DSLR, everyone's asking, what should my ISO be? How long should my exposure be? And I don't know, man. Give it a try, see what works. You know, that's what it's about, getting out there and figuring it out. You know,
Hey, Ross,
never...
hey, Ross, to piggyback off of what you're saying, I would like to tell people that we also have an astrophotography contest going on right now. So you do not have to have a telescope for that. So we're looking for galaxies. And so please go online and submit that, and you could win something. So you have potential to win something. So yeah, let's.
The prizes are good.
Yep, they are.
I will also mention that if you are learning astrophotography and you want some tutoring, okay, that someone that is on our programs a lot, especially the Global Star Party, is Gary Palmer. And so if you go to Gary Palmer Astronomy, he's out of the UK, but he tutors people around the world through Skype. It's not free, but you are going to go from maybe right here to about like out there. He will
in one lesson instead of 1 year.
Take you to the point where you're really just amazed at your images, and show you how to fix them, how to properly use programs like PixInsight, for example. So, but a lot of this, you know, taking an image also requires getting good calibration frames, and that's what we're going to talk about right now with Cameron Gillis.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I'm going to hop off real fast. So,
All right.
So I got to go pick up a car.
Before we go to Cameron, I'll give Beatrice Hines. She's watching right now. I'm
All
going to sign your.
Beatrice. Hi, Beatrice. Fantastic.
Right.
That's so nice.
All right.
Yeah,
Bye,
it's so cool that you. Yeah, bye, Annie. Thanks
Bye.
a lot. Yeah, cool. Have a good weekend.
All signed. Beatrice, it's on its way to Belgium to you.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Calibration
so
photos
cool.
are so important. You know, because that's how you get the noise out, Cameron. So yeah, thanks for coming in and sharing with us, because that is really how you take your DSLR photo to the next level and really get that extra oomph you're looking for in that Milky Way, right?
Yes, right on. So let me share my screen here. Let's see here. Okay, so we'll just jump right into it. So I already shared a little bit of this earlier, but I just wanted to kind of recap for everyone and then show the results of this, because earlier this week, let me just share my. There we go. So I started off, what was happening is I was getting pictures, like if I go to my list of pictures, I was getting pictures that look like this, which has the vignetting, you can see, and this was my f6.3 or 6.5 focal reducer. So there was a kind of this non-flat field, if you will. The image would be pretty smooth, but it was getting this vignetting problems and darkening in the corners, which makes sense. I mean, that's what you, because it's a curved field, and a different amount of light hitting the corners. So what you need to do is you need to use a flat, take some flats to kind of get rid of that. So what I did is recently I set up. Let me just put this again in presentation mode. I was figuring out how to do flats, and I shout out to Jeff Weiss, who has been really great at helping coaching me as well, and he's well connected with this team, of course, and also with he mentioned the same thing, Scott, regarding Gary's excellent advice. And when I'm ready, I will definitely take you guys up on this, and definitely have a session with Gary. But it's one of those things where I'm trying to. It's kind of like drinking from a fire hose. I'm trying to manage my journey because there's a lot of information and a lot of. I want to get the maximum out of that. So
that was a beautiful metaphor, Cameron. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
So I'm kind of taking a little bit of a tap off of that, kind of like a pick off corrector or a pick off prism. Just take a little piece of the field of view and see if I can digest that and make sure I can do it. And then so what I've done is after some research on that, I found out, hey, this is kind of going back to the earlier discussion around availability of equipment, use what you have. I started looking at what you can do to try to get the best flats. And first of all, I was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to just darken my room and change the lighting in my room so that I can use the ceiling to get the right. But it was difficult to calibrate that. And then it was like, after some more research, I found out, hey, there's actually a great idea to be able to use a laptop screen or TV or a monitor, and just put a white presentation slide projected, and then put your scope against that with a t-shirt, or in my case, I used this was a pillowcase, which is nice and square, and then what you do is you can play with the exposure time, and you can also play with the screen brightness. So that gives you two methods in which you can adjust and get the optimum amount of light for your flats. So what I did is I did that, and in this case, I was using, the other thing you have to consider with flats is it really matters what's in your image train. So anytime you change, if you add a flat,
move it, anything, yeah.
If you change the distance, change the focal length, if you add a filter, you need to have flats for every type of train that you have.
Yes, sir.
So you need, it's really important. For example, I found out when I use my UHE filter, I need to increase the screen brightness from 10 to 70.
Yep.
And I need to increase the exposure time from 1 second to 2 seconds, stuff like that.
Yep.
So these are all details. As we go down this path, I'm going to, have a better, I'll show this live and I'll actually demonstrate it and we'll go through, but it all takes time to get that to a certain point. But what I was mainly wanted to share with everyone right now is this is what I've done, and I want to see the results. Well, let me show you the results. First of all, before we do that, this is the flats that I took, which you can see are very nice. It's centered around the magic number of 24,000 on the histogram, on the luminosity histogram, and you can see that it pretty much mimics that variation that you're looking for. You're looking for that same type of thing, and what it will do is it will make those adjustments to make this a flat. That's why it's called a flat, to make this a flat picture. So when you
adds where it needs to adds and minuses where it needs to minus.
Exactly. So you're looking for this type of thing when you're taking your pictures. And I took only 20 of them, which is all you pretty much need. But you need a different set, like I say, for every image train that you have. In my case, this is the one with the normal IR cut filter, the luminance filter, which is broadband.
Which one do you use, Cameron? Which one do you have?
I'm using the Optolong. No, wait a minute. The luminance might be the ZWO, and then I have an Optolong UHC filter. So those are the two filters I got. And actually, it's right if I go here and I put that in presentation. These are the ones.
Okay,
so
there you go. Yeah.
So I'm using the ZWO 2-inch UV IR cut filter, which has this type of frequency response, which you can see it's only just between 90 and 95% transmission. So you lose a little bit, but it's flat. And it gives you the cutoff that you want. And then you have the UHC, which has pretty broadband, but it gives you your oxygen through
I enjoy your UHC a lot.
Sulfur 2. Yeah, sulfur 2.
That is actually, our audience needs to remember, Cameron, that UHC you're talking about right here. That's how James, the guy from New Zealand, was getting those beautiful photos. Is just a UHC filter. He was not using 3 nanometer $1,300 filters from Chroma.
Yeah, when you go to,
I really want those Chroma, but you can get him great shots with just a UHC.
Well, that's the thing, and this is part of the kind of the steps of the ladder where you want to kind of crawl before you walk, so that because it gets it starts becoming exponentially more expensive as you get to the next levels. So, but the difference is compared to the earlier days is before you had to kind of go from 0 to 100, in one shot, right? You had to go from the $1,000 to the $10,000 range. Now you can stick in the $1,000 range for equipment and stuff, for incremental equipment, that is, to be able to get in and get to the next level, which makes it really nice. So to your point, if you want to do the Hubble palette and single cooled monochrome and then the filter wheels and all that, the price goes up a lot, but you're going to get obviously superior. But you want to be ready for that. I mean, obviously you're going to crave for that as you start to get better with basics. But I'm just at the basic level where I want to do a one-shot color and just use the UHC and get
everything you can out of the equipment you have first. Max out that DSLR. I can show you some guys with DSLRs that are getting pictures that are still better than mine with the QHY 600. You really should max out your equipment. I just have, problems and I can't stop getting things. And you might fall into that trap as well. Astrophotography is like that.
Yeah, you have to be careful because what last thing you want to do is kind of go half in. Where you kind of take a step into the deep end and then you buy a whole bunch of equipment, but you didn't quite get it fully and you're not maximizing it. What you want to do is make sure you kind of take broad brush and get the maximum out of the basics and then gradually get to the next level and make sure when you do take the next dip, you're going to have to buy a bunch of stuff in order to make it all work, to the next level. But if you're going and you learn about this, you can actually even this equipment didn't all arrive in one day. It took over a couple months because of obviously supply chain. But so as it started coming in, I was able to take advantage of each piece, even with its deficiencies, even though it was suboptimum, and kind of learn about this is why I need the T adapter, and this is why I need the filter drawer, and this is why I need a cool camera eventually. And by the way, this is why I need an equatorial mount. You have to have an equatorial mount later on. I'm just doing this all with alt-azimuth, but I can tell you right now, what I'm really hitting up a wall because depending on where I am in the sky, I can only take either 10-second subs or 30-second subs. Once you get to 30-second subs, it starts to do the jaggies. Right, it starts to do corrections and it captures that little mount movement, and that becomes very annoying. And it also has field rotation.
Cameron, you're going about it exactly right. And for me too, it was piece by piece by piece. I couldn't afford to go about it any other way. And honestly, mentally, I could have gone about it any other way either because. It's hard. The more stuff you get, the more things have to get have to work right. And that's why we really wanted to have this show on the DSLR. And so we're going to show you
Yes.
how to hook this guy up to a telescope in just a second. When we get through these flats and
All right. Now, mind you
calibration.
guys, we have about 15 minutes left of this program.
Okay.
Right.
And so we are,
Well, I just want
we
to
have
show
the
everybody real
Astronomical
quick.
League Live coming up next. So,
Okay, so let me wrap it up then.
Yeah.
So very quickly, so here's our flat, and then two other very important ones. This is our
Yes.
dark, and this is our bias. And the reason why I wanted to show you these for reference is I've had some problems because sure, I've solved my flat problem, and I'll show you that in the picture. But what's happened is because I don't have a cooled camera, my bias is very noisy because of the temperature of the sensor. And that makes the images flats. You have to have, in order to take pictures and do stacking with flats, you have to have a bias frame to match with it to give you the balance. So so anyhow, these are the examples. So now if you look at actual example pictures, so this is
Yeah, before and after.
this is before. And this is just with the dark, okay? This is with just the darks, and you can see it doesn't make it flat, but it makes it pretty clean. It gets rid of the
contrast.
amplifier.
Yeah.
This is with just the bias. See, you can't really see much difference because I cut it off here, but it helps with the noise, a bit of line noise. This is with darks and bias, right? So it looks a little more cleaner. You can see the stars a little bit better. And then finally, flat, dark, and bias. Look at this. It's like night and day.
Beautiful.
As soon as you go from here to here, look at how clean this is. Nice and flat. And this is the full picture. You can see all, but what you do notice out of this is you can still see some line noise coming through. And this is my residual problem. At least right now, you have a flat, beautifully, equally illuminated field. Very great contrast. I can darken the star background, and it gets rid of the amp glow. But I still have these lines, and I think this is a question for this forum and also for the experts. I think that I'm running into the limits of what an uncooled camera can do in terms of getting rid of this noise, because the temperature sensor of the sensor is around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius when I'm taking this picture.
Yeah, Cameron, I think I mean, your calibrations, we saw it. It was beautiful, and I loved seeing that. I actually haven't seen that myself with my photos or with anything like that. So that was really great, and I know everybody loved that. So yeah, flats are super important, and you probably are reaching about the limits of like the mechanical fixing and the mechanical removal of the noise, and I think processing would be where you would remove the noise after that. But yeah, guys, the calibration photos that Cameron showed you are really important, and now you've got the proof. I mean, you just look at, and Cameron, you did that on a tripod, correct? That was M13.
Yeah, so that was not M13. That was M12, I think. M12 in Ophiuchus, and and then now you can see I'm very happy with this M51 picture here. You know, this is a
how you
huge.
Did that on a tripod is like it blows me away, man. So it's
this is on a C8, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is with a C8 and on a Evolution Altazimuth mount, and this is with 30-second subs, so 10 stacks of 30 seconds. So you can see how flat the picture looks. Here's M101 you showed earlier, right? And if I go to the end here, let me just go back to the very end. I'm very happy with the way. Let's go back here. So this is 10-second subs. But the main thing I wanted to highlight here is now you can get the detail. You have a nice flat picture. You can see it starts to tighten up quite a bit. And here is kind of probably the best shot. If I zoom in, quite a bit of detail now. You can see the noise, of course, the residual, but still pretty darn good considering only 30 seconds 10 stacks, 30-second with an alt-azimuth mount. And so I'm mainly thrilled about being able to get to the, what's all this here? No, that's okay. Yeah, and then, oh, here's M101. Yeah, so this is my M101 shot, but quite a bit of noise, but you can start to see the nebulosity in the structure of the spiral arms. I was pretty happy. You know, it's.
I want to Pix Insight some of those, Cameron. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but on the next week, the audience is going to remember these shots, and what we'll do on the next week is Cameron's going to send them to me. I'll run them through Pix Insight now that he's gotten the great calibration photos, and then I'll share with you all the few simple Pix Insight steps we use to get Cameron's photos and see what happens with them, and we can do the same comparison, just like he did for you guys.
Oh,
So
that would be great. Yeah, I didn't do any processing,
that
so
was
that's
great.
cool, Ross. Awesome. Thanks a lot. Anyhow, so that was my little update for today. Yeah.
Well, hey, thank
Very
you.
cool.
That is awesome because you know that's.
Now,
Yeah,
there's a question. They want to know how many flats you took. What's the exposure? Any gotchas when taking them? I know I've wasted a lot of time and had some bad results from bad flats.
Okay, so that straight answer, I took 20 flats, and I took them at exposures anywhere from half a second to 2 seconds, depending if it was using a filter or not. And I changed my screen brightness between 10% to 70%. So, but they were all maximum 2 seconds and 20 only.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
You guys, I'm demonstrating real quick before we leave. I'm going to put myself
Okay.
in a spot. We're going to take a camera, a DSLR camera, and we're going to hook it to a telescope real
Yeah.
before we go. I don't know if you all saw, I just took this. We've got these in stock. So we definitely got these in stock if you've got a DSLR camera. But this is
Camera
a
adapter.
T2 ring that connects to the Canon. We've got some for Nikons, and then we've got some straight for the M42s. This is going to be the T ring that gives you 55 millimeters of back focus, or you can put a field flattener right in front. So you just screw it in because you've got that awesome adapter. And now the camera's ready. So what you would do in real time was you would take your 92 degree, 12 millimeter Explore Scientific eyepiece off, this monster of an eyepiece. You know, you zoomed in, you got it perfectly in this most beautiful eyepiece. And you would take your diagonal off too, because you don't need that in astrophotography unless you just want it. So we got that off. We got your 92 degrees, 12 millimeter eyepiece off. And then you just take your camera here and we will shove it into the barrel. Let me get it the right angle. That's always the key. And loosen the screws. Right.
I want the telescope, Scott.
Which telescope? Oh, that one right there.
Yeah.
I'll take any. Yeah.
Turn it on and we're ready to take photos now. It's that easy.
You can call Buzz Aldrin. That's his telescope right there.
Oh
so-
yeah, that's right. It's the same.
Mhm.
That's nice.
But
That's the
it's
plaque
good,
on it.
guys. And Scott, thanks so much for letting us get another show in. We're
Okay.
moving
All right.
along.
Thank you very much, guys. And, you know, sorry to kind of cram that towards the end. We do have the Astronomical League Live #8 program. Terry Mann arranges these things. She's the secretary of the Astronomical League. She's also a former, two-time president for the Astronomical League and has spent many, many years working with the league, putting together presentations. That Bryce Canyon event that I was talking about earlier today, inspired from the Bryce Canyon shots that we were shown of the Milky Way. That whole thing was orchestrated by Terry Mann. And from what I understand, in a couple of years, they're thinking about going back. So that would be an Astronomical League Live in-person event you would definitely want to go to. So, but we'll wrap up this program and take a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to be back live with our staff from the Astronomical League and their special speakers. So, thanks, and we will see you in a moment.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Scott.
See you
Thanks,
later.
Ross.
My phone, my computer's out of batteries.
It's
Very
all
good.
Real.
We hear you, Scott, or hear you, Ross.
Bye.
Good stuff.
right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye.